Hello and welcome to my Vendread deck profile. Yes, it's been 3 months and you've been asking, and finally I have a 40 card Vendread list. That's right, not 60 again, but I found a way to make this very much work in 40. Now granted, there are some card ratios that are going to be seem weird, but I hope you will hold yourselves and understand what I mean, because I do have my own reasons, and if you want to play around anything different, my deck is only a guide. You can use and play however you want. But one last thing, there are some cards that are a little bit expensive, but either they get reprinted or you just need a one-off, or they're going to get reprinted, or cards that like you don't really 100% need them and you can put something else. They're just supposed to help you. So there will be no budget or tax options because there's really no need. But before we begin, I'm going to remind you the usual stuff. Selfless promotion right off the bat. If you want to help the channel and you want to see more videos like this and see the channel grow and just help me generally, please consider to hitting that subscribe button and also hitting the bell if you want to see videos from me as soon as possible. It's really helps, trust me. Other yugitubers in the card description down below, as well as you can just join the giveaway, which is going to end up pretty soon, so just take your chance if you want to. But without further ado, let's jump right up into the Vendread deck profile that I made for you. Alright, so let's get started with this list. Now, one last thing I would say though is that this list is for the most part budget. There are some few cards here that are expensive, but unfortunately you have to play them if you want to play this in this route. Now obviously you can take this in a different direction if you wish, but this is the direction that I like, as well as I am so excited to play 40. And the ratios of some cards are weird, but trust me, I will explain why they are like that. So let's get started with the monsters. So starting things off, let's start off with the Vendread stuff, rituals. We have these 5 as always, as well as these 4, which we have a little bit of a change to them, which for some reason they decided to kind of like go out a little bit from the sleeves, which I don't like. Anyway, you have these 4 as your Pringles and these ones as your rituals. Now I want to explain the rituals first. So for the rituals, you don't need 3 Slayers because it's so searchable, and even you can grab it from your graveyard or pre-prep if you need to. Battlelord is probably the best one with the ability to stop Nibiru. Although I do think Nibiru is going to become worse and might not be even going to be played that much anymore because of Dogmatica and other archetypes that kind of like can play around it, as well as free tactical talents and stuff, so just the card probably going to become a little bit worse, so I'm just going to say this in advance, but it does allow you to play around hand traps, which is really awesome. 1 copy of Executor because it's your primary boss monster if you're able to go to it. Not main thing, but the fact that it's able to make your entire board untargetable if you're able to go into it sometimes, which again doesn't really happen a whole lot these days, because like in the combos you're not going to see that much, or even at all you're not going to see him, but like when you're able to summon him, he's absolutely awesome, especially with this guy, because it's making your entire board untargetable. But let's now move on into these guys. So first and foremost, we have this guy, which now a little bit more makes sense because it summoned this, because you banish this and you summon this because it's get banished, but you cannot summon monster for the rest of the turn except zombies, so do keep that in mind. This one is, if it's on the field and used for the ritual, which does matter, is the untargetable. This one, when sent to the graveyard, it's just summon itself, you don't really care about its field effect. And this one I forgot to mention is that you can banish any zombie to summon it, which making it absolute insane card and also an insane engine for sheer noise, which is really awesome. And this one, I actually don't, the only reason why I don't run also Hound Horde in here is because people like to say, oh, Revenant is so much better. I don't agree. The only reason why Revenant is here is because, well, we don't really need the Hound Horde effect, right? The Grave Hound Horde effect doesn't really help that much, and the level 4 is better. But I would say in this format specifically, I don't really going to fault you if you're going to run Hound Horde instead of this, because we have now, what are called? The Numeron. So Numeron could be bad with this one. So I do run the Hound Horde in the side, and I do recommend you to run the additional Hound Horde in the side for some particular matches if you need to switch one of these, because you don't want to have 3 or 4 of these, but sometimes you do need a different one. But Revenant almost never even come up, and the only reason why it's here is because it's level 4. It's still, in my opinion, sucks, unfortunately. For anybody who's saying like this card is the best Vendread and you have to run this because of its best effect, sure. You don't always even go into that. This is just your backup stuff, which that's another reason why you run this. But like, it's it's not even that good as people make it up to be. I'm just going to say that out loud. Revenant, in my opinion, still sucks, but, you know, it's level 4, it does come up sometimes, so you do need to run this as a one-off. So, that's it pretty much for the Vendreads. Now move on to the Incantation stuff. So for Incantation, it's going to sounds a little bit of a weird lineup. Incantation is these 4. These 4s are... It's going to be weird. You're going to probably asking yourself, why not Talismandra? Where is Talismandra? Why only these 4s and not Talismandra? Well, Talismandra is bad. I'm going to say out loud, Talismandra for this deck is terrible. Why? Because Talismandra is level 6. And what is Slayer's level? Level 6. And why is that a problem? Is because sometimes you use Talismandra in your hand or you summon it and you cannot get rid of it and the another incantation with it. Therefore, there's no reason for it. Therefore, Talismandra is the worst, and you don't want to have that. So that's really, really bad. Therefore, you don't really want to have the Talismandra. And honestly, you don't really even need the search for the ritual. You have so many ways to search into the ritual or foolish burial the ritual, then the Talismandra doesn't really help you. This one, however, is here because if you open up with this in your opening hand, is allowing you to grab these 2. The only reason why it's here is because it's a level 3 and it's you open up with more of your rituals than anything else. So that's why Pencil Plume is a great starter. But I don't want to open up with way too much of these because they do kind of sucks if you have them in your opening hand. This one is a nice search or just a card to activate. This one, just either grab you this or it's just a good one to just recycle your stuff. Like, these 2 could be bad in your opening hand, but they're not the end of the world. This one is amazing in your opening hand. Like, I'm still kind of going to play around the imps. I might going to bump up this to 2 and cut this completely or do something different. But like I'm going to say, Talismandra is definitely off limits because it's a level 6. It sounds a little bit weird, but Talismandra just doesn't help. The fact that it's a level 6 is clash with your archetype way too much that you don't really want to do that. Because you want to go into your extra deck. And because Slayer is a level 6, that sucks. It's good for your level and plays anyway, but that sucks. That's the level 6. And I'm going to end that on that. Now I'll move on to the Zombie World engine, which is one of those I'm just going to go through really, really fast. Zombie World engine, a little bit of expensive of cards, which I'm going to mention, but you only need to run 1 each. Goblin, Glow Bloom, really, really good. Necroworld Banshee, Search Zombie World, and this one is just your 2 interruptions, which is really good. I don't think I need to explain these even more. Then you run a mini Shiranui engine with Shiranui Solitaire at 3, 1 Spectral Shade, or Shiranui Spectral Sword Shade, and 3 copies of Unizombie to run off your monsters. This is the lineup that I think you need, because you do need to see Unizombie a lot, or most of the time. And this one allowing you not only to grab out the Unizombie, but also Foolish Burial this, with the Unizombie. So if you banish this and this, you get this back. So that's really good. And then you can also tribute this later down the combo if you needed 2 additional monsters, but you do lock yourself into zombies, and then you get the Shiranui Solitaire back, and then another zombie of your choice. It's just really, really helpful, and I think it's really, really awesome. Also, it's work Hacky Fibrax if you really need the, the tuners. Now, granted, you could open up with this and this in your opening hand, which kind of sucks, which sometimes make me want to run only 2 of this or only 2 of this. But I do think this is just a good enough for the time being until we'll get better support, hopefully. But yeah, I feel like this lineup just works up perfectly for these 7. But that pretty much does it for the monsters. Very, very heavy chunk because it's a ritual deck. Now we'll move on to the spells. So first up, let's start off with your ritual spells. 3 Origin, 2 Evolution, and then 1 Inception. Inception, I'm actually considered cutting it down and put another 3rd Evolution. I'm just going to say that out loud. Inception is sometimes good. It's also just sometimes good because it's another ritual spell that you can even just open up in your opening hand and just serve with your imps if you need to. But the point is, Origin is the best, Evolution is a good card, but it's only hard once per turn, unfortunately. And then you have Inception, which is good in some fringe scenarios, but most of the time it's either a discard fodder or just not really the greatest. It does work, but it's not the best. Also, you need to remember that you cannot, with Inception in the graveyard, you have to have the ritual monster in your hand, which sometimes I made the mistakes of these to think that, like, Inception can help you. But no, Inception need to be summoned from the hand. So do keep that in mind, because as a Vendread player, you could make that mistake multiple times, trust me. Because these two, allowing you to summon from the graveyard. So, you know, it's just a very, very much makes sense mistake. As for your Ritual Searcher cards, we're running 3 copies of Pre-Prep, 2 copies of Prep, and then 2 copies of Extra Foolish. 7 Searchers overall to your Ritual Monsters and your Ritual Spells. I think it's really cool. You don't really need more than these. This one is just at 3 because it's the best, but the 2 others are, like, this is not a hard once per turn, but searching a Ritual Monster matter less than searching Ritual Spell most of the time, and this one just, like, serve as a, like, again, harder once per turn, but it's worse than this one, so it's like, it fits up the perfect scenario. Also, as you're probably going to notice, I don't run Vendread Charge anymore, because I'm trying not to depend on that card, because the card is great, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it just didn't do enough for the decks. Like, it does help you start putting the Ritual Monsters that you want in the graveyard, but sometimes it can also make your hands worse, so I decided to cut down Charge. But this is your lineup of your Ritual Searchers. And then for the last 4 cards, we're running 1 copy of Zombie World for the Zombie World stuff, and 3 copies of Cold by the Grave. Zombie World makes sense, and Cold by the Grave also makes sense, because you don't want to get hand trapped. Even though that this guy can make you hand trappable, or should I say hand traps cannot hit you. So yeah, that's just going to bring out to that. But that's pretty much does it for the main deck. Mostly the monsters need explanation, but the extra deck, then the spell and trap, sorry. But, you know, extra deck is pretty much simple and self-explanatory, so we're going to start off with one of each of the rituals, of the Links of Zombies, which will run one of each of them. They're all good in their own way. I'm just going to say that. This one's probably the most important, this is the second most important one, third important, and the least important. I still run this because of utility, and sometimes you do need to draw, but I am considering cutting this down completely and running a second copy of this because this one is very important and can also be good for the grind game. But Yuki-Onna is tuning interruptions, which is awesome. Like, it's absolutely insane how good this is. It's just really good. This one is just really good, as you're going to see in one of the combos, because sometimes you do need to climb from a Savior to a Supremacy to a Yuki-Onna. You have to do that sometimes. So you do have to climb, so do keep that in mind. So that's why it's so good. Also, if you haven't noticed, this is the same sword, and Shiranui's and Mayakashi do have a combination in their story. So she stole her sword, and now it's a water sword or an ice sword, which is really cool. So just for anybody who don't know the lore, Mayakashi's and Shiranui's fight each other, and Mayakashi apparently winning in the lore right now. But yeah, that's pretty much does it for that. Now we'll move on for the utility stuff, I guess, for your combos. We're running 1 copy of Beatrice, and then 3 copies of Extra Foolish Burial Targets, which are these guys, which are really good. These are your just additional really good cards. I also going to throw in here the 1 copy of Puzzlemino, which I forgot to do, and then the 1 copy of Haki Fibrax. This decided to catch itself. Yeah, these guys. All of these are really important for your combo. Now, this one is only a backup combo, but all of these are really important. This one is not important for the combo, but like this, and this are important for a combo. Sometimes this even, and sometimes this. This one is just because it's Extra Foolish Bearer, so I decided to just put it in. So, the point is, most of the time you're going to use Palomino to make out the Beatrice, as I mentioned. This one is only here if you open up with a Zombie World in your hand, or you have a specific field that you just have to go to Haki Fibrax. Haki Fibrax is most of the time not needed, but it sometimes is needed, because if you open up with Zombie World in your hand, it's really bad to go into the combo of this, because it's just really, really bad. As for these 3, this one I think you know what it does. You send to the graveyard pop, send to the graveyard search, spell, and trap. And this one is a little bit one that I don't see a lot of people run. I do understand why, but I do think it's really good. You send it to the graveyard, and then if you banish it, you get a token, which is really good. Now, you might ask yourself how good this is, but getting a token of a level 1, sometimes with your, Shiranui Spectral Shade, could make into this if you haven't sent this to the graveyard, as well as it can also just help you link climb, so that's also very, very nice if you have full combo. But, yeah, that's it for that. And then for the rest of your utility cards, F.A. Dawn's Dragster, Savage, because this card is going to get reprinted pretty soon, Cross Sheep, Phoenix, and Unicorn. These are your utility cards. Cross Sheep is mostly because like sometimes you need it. Most of the time you don't, but sometimes you do need to fix your hand, so that does help. Phoenix and Unicorn because they remove stuff, and these two are negations, which is pretty much self-explanatory on that one as well. But that pretty much does it for the deck. Hopefully you see what I mean in the deck, that it just, you don't really need to go for 60 anymore, but also playing 40 you do need to cut some corners as well as just run some ratios that do seem weird, but trust me, it's most of the time helps, or should I say works, I want to say. But yeah, I really, really like this list. I think this list is pretty awesome. Yeah, we're done with the list here, and I'm going to show you right now my side deck, which I think you're going to really enjoy, and already you know one card of it. But yeah, let's jump right into the side deck, shall we? Alright, so let's jump right into the side deck. That's right, I need a little bit of time to stretch my limbs, apparently. But anyway, for the side deck variant, the side deck is interesting, because I mostly build it to deal with Numeron stuff, but also other things at the same time. But I would say this, it's a little bit built for hate for Numerons, because I know that a lot of people in my locals will play Numeron and stuff like that, so I just deal with them. And secondly, one thing that I would say is that in my side decks, I'm only using cards that I do own. So for anybody who's just asking, where's a certain card, I don't have them because I don't own them, so I'm only showing cards that I do own. But now let's move on to my side deck option. So first off for the side deck, let's start off with the monster ones. So first things first, you want to run one copy of Hound Horde, as I said in the video and deck profile, because sometimes you do need the utility of Hound Horde. So you do want to run the one copy of Hound Horde because sometimes you do want to switch the Vendread monsters around, and his effect sometimes come up. 3 copies of a kaiju, any kaiju, or 3 different variants, whatever. As long as you run 3 kaijus that just help you deal off with the so-called Numeron menace, that's good, or just help you remove something, that's very, very nice. So running 3 kaijus is very, very good. Also, it's probably going to be good against Dogmatica to just remove another interruption from them, so that's also could be an option, because they are going to start running the Winda combo, so that will help you remove the Winda. So that's really good, and then you can just break their board most of the time. Like, the moments that you get rid of the Winda, they're not really a big of a threat as people make them up to be, because Vendreads could play for multiple interruptions and they can just break a board really easily if they want to. And they're also an OTK deck generally, so that could work. But yeah, so that's for those. And then 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 copies of any hand trap you want. For this one, I got particularly with Ghost Ogre because against Numeron, but you could run Effect Veiler if you wish. So that's pretty much it for the 9 monsters. And then for the last 6 cards, which are spells, we're running 3 Cosmic Cyclone and 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, because we don't want to deal with specific things going second, and honestly, we can just turn off our opponent's entire board with Dark Ruler, so why not? I think that makes sense. But that pretty much does it for the side deck. Now we'll move on for the part that pretty much everybody's here for, the combos, which we have 4 of them. So hope you will enjoy this part. Alright, so let's get started with the combos section. Now, for some reason, the computer didn't load these ones. I don't know why, but apparently it didn't. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter, but these are supposed to be glass spells. Again, doesn't really matter. But for this combo specifically, this is a combo that was made by my friend VC, which you only need these 2 cards, Unizombie and Evolution, which you're going to see how that goes. And this is one of my favorite ones, which is one that I like to share around because I want to share his work, as well as just I think it's an excellent combo. So let's start with this one. So first off, you're going to summon the Unizombie. Unizombie going to send a copy of Battlelord, which is then going to send you another Battlelord, allowing you to summon Battlelord from your graveyard. Then you're going to use Battlelord effect to banish Evolution, which you're not going to need anymore because it's a harder once per turn. And then you're going to call monsters. This means that you cannot get Nibiru. But generally, I think, like I said, because of Dogmatica, I think Nibiru is not going to be that insane anyway, because, you know, they kind of play around it and everything. And a lot of decks do play around Nibiru anyway, so it's like, meh. And secondly, Another thing that it does, it just specifically proc your opponent hand trap as well if they haven't hand trapped still now, and just make them waste like either their infinite impermanence that they want to, and it's just really good for you to just drop their best hand trap out of their hand, which is really cool. So you just pretty much banish this and call monsters most of the time, so that's really cool. Then you're going to use these two to make the Savior, and this will allowing you to send a Slayer to your graveyard, because Battlelord says that you can send any Vendread monster to your graveyard, so this is going to be the ones that you send to the graveyard, and you're going to add to your hand the Chalice Slime. You're then going to use Chalice Slime effect to discard itself and summon the Candle, allowing you to add to your hand the one copy of Origin. Origin is going to be activated, banishing it, and banishing the Unizombie and sending Candle to the graveyard to summon a Slayer, and then you're going to use Savior effect to grab on the Origin. Origin is going to be played again, and you're going to summon the Battlelord, and using those two to make Pazzolomino, which is then going to allow you to grab another Origin by Slayer effect, and then ditch to your graveyard Astrages, which then will special summon itself, making itself level 6 because of Pazzolomino, and then you're going to pretty much summon the Slayer and make your Beatrice. Then you're going to use Beatrice effect, sending Necroworld Banshee, and activating Zombie World. Which then, because of Zombie World, this is also counted as a zombie, which means that you can use these two to summon Yukiona, which is really awesome. And then you're going to use End Phase, pass to your opponent, and for this particular case, like they summon, like for example, a Terratop, you're going to pretty much use the effect of Beatrice, and then summon immediately the so-called the Doom King, which, because of this can also trigger up the effect of Yukiona if need be, because she says when summon a monster from the graveyard, you can trigger her effect to negate a monster on the field, which if you need to, you can do that. And that's really cool. So like for example, if your opponent just summoned a monster that need to activate its effect on the field, you can just do all of this chain and then activate Yukiona and just deal with it. Which actually most of the time also helped me deal with Hover Cardman prank kits when we played around back in the day. So that was really cool. And this card is absolutely insane because it's 2 interruptions of this kind, which is really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for combo number 1. You end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions, 2 negations of monsters, a negation of a monster, and a banish a monster from the field or graveyard, which again could trigger this card effect, which is really good. So yeah, that's pretty much does it for combo number 1. Let's move on to combo number 2. Alright, so for combo number 2, we didn't open up, unfortunately, with Zombie World in our hand, which kind of sucks, because you want Zombie World in your deck. But let's say you did open up with this in your hand, what are you going to do about that? Well, because of that, Haki Fibrex exists. This is the only instance that you need specifically Haki Fibrex. You can just go Haki Fibrex for anything, without Haki Fibrex anywhere. But for this particular thing, you kind of have to have Haki Fibrex, because otherwise your entire combo is going to be very, very bad. Because you're just going to go into a Beatrice for no good reason, and just going to turn 3 cards into 4 interruptions, which is not the best, honestly. You can turn them in, if you can turn this into 5, which is much more preferable, which is that's what you're going to see here. So, first and foremost, you're going to pretty much, also I just decided to press on screen without my mouse because my screen is touch, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to activate Preparation of Right, giving you the ability to search these 2, and then you're going to use Solitaire Effect, which allowing you to tribute it, summon Unizombie, and then Unizombie is going to send this guy to the graveyard, because it's A, a tuner, B, it's a card that you can banish with Solitaire. You banish Solitaire and you get this, because I already mentioned that and I really, really like this engine. So again, Slayer, which allowing you to summon the Spectral Shade back, which is really cool, so you have 3 monsters on the field. You're then going to use these 2 to grab up the Savior. Savior will give you the ability to grab, Slayer will give you the ability to grab this, which is then going to give you Battlelord, and then you're going to use Savior Evolution to summon the other Battlelord directly from your graveyard by sending the other one from your deck. So yeah, you're going to do that, and then you're going to grab up the Origin from your graveyard to your hand. And then you're going to use these 2, and you're going to make Haki Fibrex, which is then going to grab directly from your deck the Glow Up Blue. Cool? Cool. Now, that's the reason why you want this, because sometimes you don't want to just jump hoops and loops and just go glow up bloom with Beatrice, because you can just make this a little bit better. You can take these two and make a Savage, which then will allow you to, well, first and foremost, grab from your graveyard because of the effect of this, a Doom King. Use Battlelord effect to send to yourself a Strigus and grab this, which is also another thing. And then you're also going to grab another interruption with Savage, which is also another thing. And then you're going to use Strigus effect, summon it directly from your graveyard, use any one of these to just summon one of the ritual monsters, doesn't really matter. And then you're going to use all three of them to make your Yukiona, because you cannot use this card because it's not a zombie because of this card effect. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions out of 3 cards, and technically it's 2 cards because this card was just a brick. So if you have Lucky Fire Bricks and you open up with this is pretty awesome if you have to do that this way. Again, if you don't have the money for Lucky Fire Bricks, you don't have to run this. This is just a combo that just help you if you are in that certain situation. But that's pretty much does it for combo number 2. Let's jump right into combo number 3. Alright, so for combo number 3, which is pretty much one of not the best ones, unfortunately, you open up with like 3 cards that are not the best, but you can still make this work. Like, this could still work. Now, granted, if you open up with pre-prep, your situation would probably been better. But I want to show a combo that just show you that, like, sometimes you do have to play like this. Sometimes this just happens, and you have to play like this. So let's play. So starting things off, you're going to summon the Revenant, then you're going to activate Pencil Plume because you have a ritual in your hand, which is allowing you to summon the Candle, which then specifically will grab you the Origin, because you have to have the Origin. You're going to rotate this Origin a lot of rounds, or at least 1 or 2 additional times. So do keep that in mind that you need to grab the Origin. Evolution will not help you in this. And then you're going to use these 2 because you want to get them off the field, so you can use these 2 for your Link play, which is, well, Savior, which will allow you to grab this from your deck and send a Slayer to your graveyard. Then you're going to use Savior effect to grab this to your hand. Very important to do this now before doing the Child Slime one. Very important. Then you're going to use this to banish the Battlelord because you have no other monsters that you can do with this right now. And then you're going to summon the Slayer. And this is why I said Supremacy sometimes matter. Because Supremacy allowing you to Link Climb. Because sometimes you do not have enough monsters on your field and you need to Link Climb. So this is really good that it's a zombie Link 3. Very, very important. And then you're going to send an Anima from your deck to your graveyard. And you also search the Evolution, which is really good. Now you're going to activate Chalice Slime effect, discarding itself, summoning it a Bookstone, which will Bookstone, will grab you once again the Origin. And you're going to activate Origin again to banish this and send Bookstone to the graveyard to then summon a Slayer once again to your graveyard and then use these 2 off to make a Yukiona. Then you're going to use Anima effect to grab back the Revenants and then use Evolution to sending it to send a Striges to your graveyard, and because you don't have any Vendread card in your hand, this will just, like, you know, just get the effect of banish a card with Evolution, which is really good. So, like, you do get the Revenant effect, which giving you 3 interruptions, but you don't get Striges, which you don't really need because you don't have any Vendread card in your hand. But again, this is combo number 3 that does show you that sometimes Revenant does come up in some fringe situations, as well as just, yeah, sometimes you do need to go to these combos. So that's why I also decided to run Revenant, and honestly, it works quite fine. But that's pretty much does it for combo number 3. Now I'll move on to one of my favorite ones, if not my favorite, combo number 4. Alright, so for combo number 4, I will skip some of the steps during the end and go really quickly through this one, because most of the steps are very, very much normal and you understand them, and I'm pretty sure that you've seen them for multiple times. But the point is, for this one specifically, you open up already with full combo with these 2 cards, right? But let's say you also open up with this one, which you don't really need the Arclight Search, but it's still very, very useful. So what are you going to do in that particular situation? Well, you're going to find out right now. It's really, really very, very spicy, with a particular extra deck monster, which I think some of you are already guessing that I'm going to use. But the point is, I am going to skip some steps, and you're going to see River go quickly for this combo, because honestly, it's kind of like the first combo, only with some steps that are a little bit different, or the second one as well. So it's like you're going to see the same thing. So it's just, I'm going to skip this as soon as possible. So, usual thing, Unizombie. Then you activate Unizombie, send this to the graveyard. I'm going to go skip through that. You're going to use the same ritual, banish, right? Summon this. Then this is going to summon itself back, which is really good. Then you make Savior. Again, do the same thing with the Battlelord, and send this to the graveyard and get your evolution, and then this is going to grab the Origin. And then you're going to use said evolution to then to send another Battlelord to the graveyard to then grab the other Battlelord. Then you're going to use Origin to then banish the second Battlelord to summon the Slayer. Again, usual things, you just do this around differently like the first combo, but still differently. It's the same thing. You go past Illumino, you grab your Chalice Slime, which is then going to grab to you Candle, which is then going to grab to you the last ritual spell you need. But now where things are getting spicy. And also, I forgot to mention that the Vendread monsters that you do need to send to graveyard is no strategies. It's supposed to be Core, because Core can banish any zombie and it will be fine, as well as you specifically need Core because you don't want to summon this immediately. You want this later. You need the banish of this, Fang. You need the banish of this, so just keep that in mind. So what are you going to use for this? Well, you are going to send this guy. Because when this guy is getting banished, you get a token. And I think level 1 in a token is an Arc Light, if I understand my math correctly. So yeah, it's very, very good to have the Arc Light. Now, you're going to use, once again, you're going to summon the Slayer, which is stop, stupid computer, stop, Slayer. Anyway, you're going to summon Slayer once again, and Slayer is going to pretty much giving you the level 6 that you need, and then Core will give you the second one by banishing this, which again will give you the token, and this will turn into a level 6, and this will grab you the token. And then you're going to make the Beatrice. Then, one thing to mention, before we'll move forward, one thing to mention, you don't summon Arc Light yet. You summon Arc Light only after you use Banshee effect, because when you summon Arc Light, it sends a monster to the graveyard, and then, like, if a card sent to the graveyard, it's get banished. Therefore, Banshee will not be able to activate their effect, as well as until you do not remove the Arc Light as a negation from your field, you do not use Beatrice effect to summon Doom King. Keep that in mind, because otherwise, you will not be able to get these negations and benefit from them. So do keep that in mind. Arc Light need to be removed first for you to enjoy the benefit of your other negations. Just keep that in mind, okay? Just keep that in mind. Then you, again, like I said, do that. You do this. And then you, once again, make the Arc Light. I'm not going to do this one again because I don't think that the step is already known that make a Yuki-Onna, so, yeah. But the point is, like I said, you do not use this card effect until this is removed from the field. You do not do that. But that's pretty much it for that. You get this thing, which is 1 interruption, these two, which will turn into a Yuki-Onna, which is 2 additional interruptions, and then after this is removed, you're going to also get Doom King, which is additional 2 interruptions. But that's pretty much does it for that. That's pretty much does it for the combos. 4 combos, 4 very, very awesome ones. 2 that are kind of returning for some people who already know my videos, but I thought they were really important to show, as well as 2 new ones, which is really cool to see always. But that's pretty much does it for that. See you all next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye-bye.